So the Scottish McEwens are much more mixed, and some McEwens are going to be McEwens of Otter, but a lot of McEwens are not actually McEwens of Otter at all. So that's how that works. But they also, we were talking about the YDNA earlier on, and different YDNA signatures for different families, according to surname. And one of the things about clanship, of course, is that because the chief of the clan acknowledges his kinship to everyone in the clan, whether they're blood relations or not, you don't necessarily get the same genetic pattern for people who are members of one clan. Very often you get quite a lot of different ones. You know, they go together, but you can see that the chief's family is going to have a different haplotype to the other families within the clan. Yes?
I thought I have another question for you. There's a tradition that I've read in Robert Bain's book, and it goes back to 13th century. And Ewing of Otter, MacEwen of Otter, built a castle on Loch Fyne, about a mile north of Kilford, and that he lost that castle because he had borrowed money from the Campbells and was unable to meet his payment, and the Campbells were not lenient about that at all, and more or less foreclosed, and that Ewing of Otter then lost that castle. Is that familiar to you?
I've heard something a bit like that. I think it's probably an oral tradition that goes back to this thing of when the Campbells did take over the MacEwen lands. I don't know what the truth behind it is, and I don't know how far back the tradition actually goes either. It could be a kind of later attempt to make sense, because there's another oral tradition that says that the Campbells came and slaughtered the MacEwens,
Yes.
which just is completely fictitious. So that one's more possible, but I don't know if there's any way to tell whether it's true or not.
All right.
Hey, any other questions?
Another question.
On the Ewings of around Londonderry, are they all related, or are they where do they fit into the picture?
Well, the way I understand it to have happened is that well, the first mention of a Ewing in Ireland is sometime around 1600 or thereabouts, and it's a Finlay Ewing. And the name Finlay Ewing Finlay is quite an unusual first name, but it's not terribly unusual in this particular Ewing family. And so there's that Finlay Ewing in Ireland, who might be the same as the Finlay Ewing mentioned in the Scottish Act of Parliament of 1597, who's commended for attacking Hugh Berkeley. There's another Finlay Ewing of Ladyton, so same family, who lives in, or who appears to die in 1589, because that's the date on his will. And then, of course, later, there's the Finlay Ewing who fights at the Battle of the Boyne. Now that Finlay Ewing is the son of the James Ewing, who is executed for his part in Argyll's rebellion, who in turn must be a close relative, probably son, of Patrick Ewing, who was obviously the leader of the Ewings through the Civil War period, what's the English Civil War and the Bishops' War in Scotland. And then before him there seems to have been a John Ewing, and then you're kind of back in the times of Finlay Ewing. So there, whilst I haven't found kind of any evidence that one is the son of another, they're all living in the same place, and it kind of passes from, very clearly passes from one to another. I think that there's John's son. I think I can confirm that one because he has another son that becomes a minister in the lands of the MacLachlans, and so that's there's legal documents about that relating back to Dunbartonshire, and so that one is slightly clearer. But there's what appears to be a line of a family there, but I haven't managed to kind of actually confirm that each one is the son of his father in a way. So that's how, it's fairly clear that the Irish Ewings and therefore the American Ewings are related to this line. And the other thing is that there are two American traditions of the coat of arms of Ewing. And both of these traditions have evidence that predates the publication of those arms in the 1860s. So they can only have been passed on through oral tradition or through pictorial tradition. And that the one is, I think, in your family through Dr. John Ewing, and the other is in the line of Senator Thomas Ewing. And they both record the same shield, and that must mean that their families, they're both descended from the man that once owned that shield, because otherwise they wouldn't claim it, because the shield belongs to one single person and not to a family overall.
Well, let me add a remark to Roger's question there. Jim McMichael had a theory, which he would be speaking about if he were still here, so I'm going to speak on his behalf. I don't think there's enough support for it that I can defend it, but he believed that there were two branches of the Ewing family that came into Northern Ireland, one into Londonderry, and the other first a little south of Donegal and then up into Donegal, just west of Londonderry in Carnashina and Fayan Parish. It's only 10 or 12 miles. And that those over close to Londonderry had the DYS 10 signature that characterizes our group 2 in the DNA project, and the others had did not. They had the DYS 11, that's the majority of the people in the closely related group. And that the mutation that created that difference must have occurred sometime in the not long before this migration to Ireland took place. We don't have any credible evidence for or against that. That was Jim's idea, that two closely related families ended up living cheek by jowl there in Ulster, with the one group in Londonderry and the others, their near neighbors about 10 miles away. So, but both those groups fit in with what Thor's talking about here, and which was the ancestral form of that specific marker, we do not know.
Thank you. Yes, and I should add to that what I was saying about the first Finlay Ewing in Ireland is to kind of illustrate that there were Ewings in Ireland that were of this same family from about 1600, and the last migration to Ireland that we know of is in the 1680s. So there were contacts with Ireland for a long time, and there might have been people of the family who were basically settled in Ireland, and certainly the family had kind of land holdings and interests in Ireland long before the Battle of the Boyne.
Other questions? Well, thank you,
Okay,
Thor.
thank you.
He makes his great hammer to rise and to fall. Here's to young folks and to old folks and to best folks of all. Twanky dillo, twanky dillo, twanky dillo, 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 dillo. And a pair of roaring bellows made of the green willow. And here's to King Charlie and also his queen, and to all his little children where'er they are seen. Twanky dillo, twanky dillo, twanky dillo, 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 dillo. And a pair of roaring bellows made of the green willow. And King Charlie, of course, is King Charles II, and it's sneering at him for all his little children, his little bastard children. We're seen all over the place, of course.
Yeah,
What a good voice. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a
Oh,
delight.
yeah, that could be recorded.
Yeah.